Hello and welcome to this multimodal where I will be discussing COVID-19, especially regarding how the virus affects other diseases in the body and how vaccines play into all of this. So here's my thesis. You can read it through on the right while I explain the diagram on the left. So this is a diagram that I created showing a big COVID-19 germ in the middle, and where that branches out, and you can kind of see how it affected hospitals, medical professionals, our personal health, which is the pair of lungs, because COVID-19 is a type of pneumonia. And most importantly, on the top left side, it affects kind of the social lives of everybody in this country, not only in this country, but just around the world, where our social lives have been limited in this last couple of years because of the virus. An interesting connection I want to make before I start is between AI and COVID-19. In addition to things like vaccines, researchers have recently discovered that AI databases can quickly find specific treatment plans and diagnose high-risk patients in order to help them receive quick and effective care. And on the right, I have a tic-tac-toe diagram where I connected treating brain diseases in COVID-19 with and treating lung diseases in COVID-19 with the new AI discovery that was found. So the first thing I want to talk about is the lungs. Specifically, what risks there are from having lung diseases along with COVID-19. And it's pretty obvious that you can see that ginormous spider of mortality kind of looming over that pair of COVID-infested lungs that is kind of stuck in that spider web of all the different types of lung diseases and negative effects that COVID-19 brings, especially with patients who have had pre-existing lung diseases, which is mainly what we're talking about here. If you would like to learn more about respiratory diseases and the specific types of lung diseases, I do have a podcast on that, so please go check that out, and I think it'll be really helpful in understanding the connections between pre-existing diseases and COVID-19. The next thing I'll be talking about is the brain, where brain diseases really developed as a side effect to contracting the coronavirus, and these symptoms would include mild to severe cases of brain fog, different types of emotional distress, as well as some really severe ones, and also common ones like stroke and alters in the structure and function of the brain, which I have shown in a pie chart on this page with there's some data on the left and kind of a visual representation of what types of diseases there are in patients who have developed brain diseases after getting the virus. So if you want to pause that and kind of analyze that a little bit more, please feel free to do so while I move on to vaccines, which are a very important and controversial topic. So I wanted to introduce a counterclaim that people had where they would say vaccines do not work, saying that they're not safe, they're not effective, and they just cannot effectively prevent COVID-19 in patients. But through many studies and experiments, researchers have found that vaccines are safe and they are effective. And I would like to further prove this by discussing the effects of vaccines on patients who have had some serious lung diseases and respiratory diseases before contracting COVID-19. So here I have made a Venn diagram discussing the immune responses of vaccinations on lung cancer patients versus hemodialysis/kidney transfer patients. Now, to clarify, hemodialysis is just another type of lung disease, and we all know what kidney transfers are. So this is just a Venn diagram comparing and contrasting. So if you want to pause this and analyze it a little bit more, please feel free to do so. So here I just have a very simplified visual representation of what you just saw on the last slide, where unfortunately, kidney transplant patients did not show a huge increase in immunity after first and second doses of a COVID vaccine. Some of them did, but not as many as researchers hoped. On the other side of the spectrum, lung cancer patients really did show a pretty big and pretty significant increase in immunity, where about 3 out of 4 patients who received first and second doses of the vaccine did show an increase in immunity. Now, somewhere in between these two values is hemodialysis patients, where about 50% of them showed an increase in immunity after receiving 2 doses of a vaccine. So for additional resources, I kind of just have my capstone essay, which really goes in more into depth and analyzes a lot more all the topics that we just talked about. So the link to this is also in the description of this video, so please feel free to check that out. And finally, here are my sources. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something new.